Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Red Zone Podcast. My name is Riley Davis, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Nate Cohen.
How's it
And
going?
we have a third person with us today, a highly anticipated guest, who has been referred to as such throughout the podcast,
Actually
who's
gets a
been
name now.
undercover. Yeah, undercover for this whole academic year as a sleeper agent in the shadows, a secret fan going to a rival school. And that is
Hi, I'm Erin. I'm the what kind of terms have you used for me? You've used like number one fan. You've used like
I don't know, man.
what
You haven't
else?
listened in like 4 weeks.
Hey,
hey,
hey!
That
You.
fake
number one fan moniker,
fan.
I
that number
am
one
a
fan
STEM
moniker might have
major.
to go
Thank
to
you very
someone
much.
else.
I'm a STEM major here. It's difficult. It's rough. But yeah,
See, that's
I
fair.
I am the Georgia Tech fan going to UGA and studying for ecology. So yeah.
Sleeper agent in the shadows.
Um, so rivalry week was probably the most eventful
Yes.
week we've had of the year. Uh,
Nothing happened. Are you kidding?
So cool.
yeah. So this was kind of insane of a week. Insane week, like we expected, which was it's always good when I mean, I think Riley and I had said this kind of like back in week. It was when we were previewing that week that had like all the really good games. Like that was the week Alabama played South Carolina. It was like the Oregon Ohio State week, LSU Ole Miss, Florida Tennessee. Like there was like six high profile games that week. We went into it like this week should be the best of the year, and then I think it ended up being either like second or first or whatever it ended up being. And so it was cool when we talked about rivalry week and like it's always the best week of the year. And then I mean, maybe spoilers for the red zone rankings at the end of the episode, but this was pretty easily for me the best week of the year. Like it was beautiful, just chaos from like whenever the UGA game. So 7:30 on Friday to about 2 a.m. on Sunday when the BYU game ended. Um, and yeah, it was good to see it. Good to see everything pan out. But Riley, what were
Yes.
you up to the last week?
What wasn't I up to? um, I
How'd
went to two.
Macy's go?
It was okay. That's a loaded question. I'm not gonna lie. It was my birthday. It was very cool. It was like a really amazing, really cool, unique experience, and I'm glad that I got to do it. However, it was freezing and it rained the whole time. So that part was like actually miserable. Like we had gloves on and I would literally in the middle of the parade, I would squeeze my fist and water would just pour out of the it was so that was miserable. It was miserable, but it was also very cool. So
Yeah, it
yeah, I
looks
woke
it
up
looked
at 1 a.m.
miserable on TV, like watching y'all, because I tuned in to try to find you, and I think maybe I did, but I'm not entirely positive. But yeah, no, that looked awful to try to march through.
It
Mm-mm.
was a little bit,
It was
but
like
it's
so
okay.
for the dear viewer. All three of us were in marching band together. It was like that one competition we had where we won grand champion in sophomore year when the field was wet and like they pitied us and gave us grand champion. My gloves, like my gloves already in sophomore year were like really bad, and then like they got wet and like I thought I dried them off enough. Went into my bag like a week after, and it was like moldy, and I was like, okay, well, thanks rain.
That's
Um,
Oh,
disgusting.
yeah, no, it
Yeah,
burned me.
the very fun part is that so we woke up at like 1 a.m. on Thursday because we had to rehearse at like 3 a.m. in front of Macy's. It was great. Um, and so we got soaked in those uniforms, and then we left at 5 a.m. on Friday to go straight to Greenville for the Clemson game, where we wore the same uniforms, and they were still wet. So that was great.
But
Mm-mm.
hey, your trip to Greenville went very well.
It really did. I was sick then too. That's when I first got sick. So I was not having a good time.
But then Lenora Sellers turned into God, and everything was okay.
He's been gone, bro, for the past like couple weeks.
Aaron, how was your last week?
it's been pretty good. Lots of studying and for finals. I've got my first final tomorrow, And then next Wednesday I have another one, and then I'm done. I'm out. I have no more class. That's nice. But yeah, it was nice hanging out with family on Thanksgiving and whatnot.
See, this is where you in-state kids make us sick. I'm not done with classes for another 10 days.
Oh, Jesus.
I
Wait,
don't get
Riley, when are
home
you
until
done?
the 18th.
My last day of classes is Friday, and then I have four finals next week.
Ooh. Mm-mm.
Apparently, I'm
I'm
only
going
done
home the
until
11th
early
because
Indiana.
I'm going home as soon as my last final is done. Because I
I'm
didn't go
going
home for
home on the
Thanksgiving.
18th.
Damn. That's rough, man.
Tragic.
Sorry for you.
That's rough, buddy.
And honestly, it might be more if we get a home playoff game, which it's looking like we probably won't after the playoff rankings last night, which is a great segue into the playoff rankings. Because, okay, news, I'm going to be dead honest. There's like nothing because everything is commitment related because today was National Signing Day. So if we miss any news that you like, I don't know, man. Just kick rocks or something. There's so much to talk about this week that news can take a backseat. Um, so the playoff rankings came out last night, and everyone hates them except me because both my teams profited from it. And so let's go through a few of the movers. Georgia goes up 2 spots after a lucky win against Georgia Tech. Ohio State drops only 4 after losing to the worst Michigan team since Brady Hoke at home in one of the most embarrassing games I've ever seen a team have. And, they only got punished by dropping 4 spots, which, when Indiana loses to Ohio State, they drop 5 to on the road to the number 2 ranked team in the country. But, when Ohio State biffs it against a shit Michigan team, they only get to drop 4. So, favoritism is a funny thing. Clemson drops 5 after a loss to South Carolina, which, let's be real, it probably should have been more. Miami drops 6 places crucially coming out of the playoffs after a embarrassing loss to Syracuse in rivalry week. And then Syracuse enters the top 25. Army re-enters. Memphis comes in after beating Tulane. But Riley, let's talk about it.
Okay,
Big
so there's several
discussion.
things. There's several things I'm angry about. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna like build. So I'm gonna start less angry and then I'm gonna get more angry. So my less angry is you moved Georgia up 2 spots after they had to win with by 2 points in an eighth overtime against Georgia Tech.
They did not deserve that. I mean, they
No,
were
they deserve to go
horrible out
down if
there.
everything, if
So
anything.
Mm.
What
so
the hell?
not to play devil's advocate, but I don't think this is because of anything Georgia. Like I know, while saying that they moved up 2 for beating up a crappy Georgia Tech, not a crappy Georgia Tech team, but like getting out
Mm.
unscathed. Um, Georgia kind of didn't really move up because of their own merit, but got lucky with Miami and Ohio State losing. So it was kind of like there was kind of nothing you could do with Georgia other than move them up 2 spots because you're not going to put them behind Ohio State, which I think is fine if you want to do that. And Miami was never getting in the top 10 after that loss. So to play
And
devil's
that's
advocate for why Georgia
that's
is
my
up that
other
high,
anger. First of all, I'm angry that we're not in the playoffs. I'm angry.
You
I'm
deserve it.
pissed.
I'm
You
willing to
deserve
I'm
it.
debate. I'm
I'm
willing to debate you.
pissed.
I think Bama deserves it more. I think it's either Bama or South
But
Carolina,
I
and
think no, but what makes me more fucking pissed, oh, I forgot we curse now on this. I forgot about that. What makes me
just
more
letting them
fucking
fly
pissed
12
is
minutes into the episode.
Miami is 12th in the nation when they just lost to fucking Syracuse. We just beat Clemson on the road in whatever the fuck they call that whack ass Death Valley, and you're just gonna move us up 1 spot, and yet Miami's still top 12 with their Syracuse? What the hell? Anyways, yeah, I'm a little pissed. Also, I wanted to bring the Gamecock football team. They posted on their Instagram
If you
like a
have to
whole
post about why you need to make the playoffs, you don't deserve to make it.
well, we
All I'm
should
saying.
still because we're
All
the
I'm
Oh,
saying.
only
okay.
team in the
But
top
wait,
16 that has 4 top 30 that's played 4 top 30 teams and won in the last 7 weeks.
I think Bama deserves it more. And
That's
these are
no,
my reasons.
that's
These are my
mm-mm.
reasons. These are my reasons. They beat South Carolina, and
by
obviously South
2 at
Carolina's
home, and you're projected
obviously
to win
South.
by two
Let me
touchdowns.
finish. Obviously, South Carolina wasn't very good when that game happened. I'm on record saying that if South Carolina didn't suck, we probably would have lost that game, and I stand by that. However, what I will say is that Bama has better wins. We have a win against Georgia, which is, I think, the reason why we're even there in the first place. And obviously, the loss against Vandy, I think, gets replaced by that win against Georgia. Whoever's worse between Vandy and Oklahoma, I think the win against Georgia replaces one of those, which then makes our losses Tennessee, who's a top 6 team, and Vandy or Oklahoma. Which, don't get me wrong, Vandy and Oklahoma was bad. Like that was not great. And does this team? You know what? I don't know if this team. I'm actually, the more I talk it, the more I say, the more I realize I don't know if this team deserves to make the playoffs. But I think the reason why they're ahead of South Carolina is because the CFP has made a precedent that if you beat a team and you have the same record as them, you're ahead of them. Have they stuck to that precedent? Fuck no. But it's kind of been the thing. Like this year, they've been trying to stick by it more. That's the reason why Georgia is at 10-2, is ahead of Tennessee, who's 10-2. Why Bama's ahead of
Georgia's
South
ahead of Tennessee
Carolina.
because they dick ride Georgia.
Well, also they
Sure.
beat Tennessee, so a 10-2 Georgia versus a 10-2 Tennessee
Can I
becomes then who won. And South Carolina's issue is that they lost to the number 13 and number 11 team in the country, which means the playoff, despite this, I'm not saying this is what they should do. I'm just saying that's the precedent they've set this year. No way South Carolina was going to jump them when they had the same record, which is unfortunate for South Carolina. It's not their fault their schedule was as bad as it was this year, but that's the reason why they're going to get left out of the playoffs, most likely.
But I mean, like,
it just
okay,
pisses me off.
you admitted that Bama probably shouldn't be in the playoffs. Like, South Carolina fought against so many ranked teams and so many like good and I'm sorry, very sorry, better teams, and Alabama lost to Vanderbilt.
And
Like, come
Oklahoma.
on. And
And
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Exactly. You're
Okay,
proving my point
The
here.
Vandy loss is not as bad as it was when it happened, using hindsight, because Vandy wasn't awful this year. Should we have lost? No. However, Vandy wasn't awful this year. There's no excuse for the Oklahoma loss. That was I mean, my dad and I
Can
said
I
that
also
before.
point
That
something
was the
out?
worst game played in like
Can I make
12.
my rebuttal to that?
Sure.
That we don't have to argue about. These are just my thoughts and I'm just stating facts here. We don't have an unranked loss at all. Y'all have two to two teams that we absolutely blew out of the fucking water.
Then put Miami in.
To the no.
There's an
No.
easy answer to
Uh-uh.
this. I think there's an easy answer to this, and then it's that I don't know how we ended up. I mean, obviously, we were going to end up getting here, where it was like last year there was 4 teams fighting for the last spot. We expanded, and then there's still 4 teams fighting for the last spot. But when you look at these 4 teams, it's Alabama, who's currently in that spot. Bama's the 11 seed, where this is the fight for the 11 seed. It's Bama, Miami, Ole Miss, South Carolina. Out of those 4, it would have to probably end up being Miami. Because does Miami's 2 losses incriminate them? Yes. But it is only 2 losses. And so it's like, it's hard to compare that against everyone else. And I think there isn't a good answer for who
Have
deserves
we
to have the
also not
11th
also
seed.
talked about how Miami's been like skating by in a lot of these wins?
We have. Also, this might end up not mattering if Clemson beats SMU.
This is true. Y'all could be out.
Yeah. And so, like, none of this matters because Miami choked against Syracuse. So now Clemson might end up being the first 3-loss team to, or I guess are they at 3? Yeah. Clemson's going to end up being ranked 17th going into this week and somehow manage to be, I think they would have probably ended up being like the 12 seed or the 4 seed because they beat SMU.
That
So,
would
like,
piss me off way more.
Yeah, no, that's bad. No.
SMU
I'm rooting
better
for SMU.
better win. Oh yeah, me too. I would
Especially
never be caught dead rooting for Clemson.
because, and here's the kicker with Bama getting included as the 11th seed. They get a real easy run off the projection yesterday. Like they get at Notre Dame,
It's unfair.
they
Yeah,
get at Notre
exactly. It's
Dame,
completely
and then they play.
unfair.
And then the winner of that game would play SMU, which would be a really nice run for Bama and a run that I legitimately think we could go on, which would put us in the semifinals.
The only thing that
So
would sweeten the deal for me is if like y'all get out first round. Then I'd be like, okay, that's fine.
we probably would. This Bama team's been inconsistent as all get out this year. They'll
Yeah.
either
Our
show up
little
against
group
Notre
chat,
Dame, beat them by 60, or they'll lose. Or they'll lose by like 20.
Yeah, our group chat was livid yesterday. As soon as we got put 14th, they were like, "What the fuck?" Everyone lost their like mind. It was not good.
I mean, at the end of the day, for South Carolina, it's going to come down to miss. Um, what's the word? It's going to come down to sloppy play against Alabama that cost them that game, getting blown out by Ole Miss at home, and then choking against LSU, plus the bad penalty call at the end of the game. And so it's like South Carolina's like two plays. Like if South Carolina gets a 2 point conversion against Bama and force that game to go to overtime, in which who knows what'll happen at there, or that flag doesn't get called and South Carolina doesn't then proceed to choke against LSU, then who knows where South Carolina gets put. But
I mean, you
also,
know
like,
my thoughts about LSU, but whatever.
eh, I think this is still a successful season for South Carolina. Like, no
Well,
matter what
yeah,
happens here, but
it's just the
it's
only
Absolutely.
not.
thing that makes it shitty is just because like I mean, at the beginning of the season, it was like we're South Carolina, bro. We almost lost the fucking like Old Dominion week 1, and so like that's like the beginning of the season. That was the energy, and then like the fact that we were like all this like random stuff and upsets has to happen in order for us to even have a chance at the playoffs, and then the fact that it all happened and we were that close, that's what makes it shittier. That's what makes it like sting more.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a good answer here. Like, I think you can legitimately make a case for all four of the teams, maybe except for Ole Miss, because no one really cares about Ole Miss, and all three of their losses are like unranked this year. So I think it's you can make an argument for each team, and you could probably be valid with that argument. It's just no one really knows what's going to happen here. Um, it'll probably end up being Bama. It'll probably end up being Bama or Clemson in the 11th seed. Or let me throw this out there. The outrage that would happen with the committee is going to have to rank if Clemson beats SMU. The committee's going to have either SMU or Bama in, which would either be 9-3 Bama or 11-2 SMU.
The
And
SMU
if well,
38th.
not so fast because the betting odds had actually think that that would end up favoring Bama, which I don't know what would happen if that. I think the world would probably just spontaneously combust if Bama somehow managed to somehow get in. If that
People are
happened,
mad about y'all being in it now.
they
People
hate us
would
because
Hmm.
explode if that
they
happened.
hate us because they ain't us, and that's you know what
No,
that's our
no.
No,
motto. Hey, remember when
no.
Mm-mm.
we shouldn't have made the playoffs last year and then we almost beat the national champion? Yeah, that was fun. Um, all I'm saying is Bama's Bama. Postseason football unlocks this team. Um, they seem to play well against good opponents. Um, that's the thing with Bama this year. They play up to competition, except for the Tennessee game. But other than the Tennessee game, they play up to competition, which is why I think if they make the playoffs, they have a chance to make a run. Um,
Sure.
but
Keep telling
Well,
yourself
we'll
that.
get to see. We'll get to see how all of that plays out.
we will see how mad we are on next Tuesday when we record following championship week.
Yeah.
Um, but let's get
Shall
into the
we
games.
move on?
Well,
What
also if
time is it?
Clemson wins, it's like we would have beat the ACC champion, and we're not in the playoffs. But it's fine.
I
Everything is
mean,
great, guys.
I think no one thought that a three-loss team would make it before the year, but this year's been so insane with everyone losing that we've now been like
You have to
basically
resort to the three-loss
ham-fisted
teams.
into having to wonder what would happen with this. So, you know, we'll see. What could possibly go wrong? Um,
So much.
but let's start on
Mhm.
Thanksgiving. Memphis walks in to New Orleans and beats the doors off of Tulane 34-24 on Thanksgiving, which, I'm a little annoyed that this wasn't the Egg Bowl because like the Egg Bowl's like permanently on Thanksgiving, but it wasn't. And it was like a 3:30 kick on Friday, which felt like a sin. So, but this is bad for Tulane. Tulane was fighting for being that Group of Five bid, and no one actually. We didn't even talk about the Group of Five bid because it's either going to be Boise or UNLV. Because what happens if UNLV beats Boise and gets that auto
I
bid?
forgot about them.
Then what? Then what do we do?
Then that's even more chaos. If
Then
what
Arizona
happens if
State.
UNLV wins and Clemson wins?
Peak chaos would be Penn State. No one. It doesn't really matter with Georgia, Texas. Then it would have so peak chaos would be like Penn State, UNLV winning, like Clemson beating SMU. Like if all of that happens in championship week, then we can throw all of what we just said out the window because none of it would matter. Um, and yeah, bad game for Tulane. I thought this was probably going to be a little better, but it wasn't, and the game was kind of just a track race by the like fourth quarter. Memphis pulled away, and it's a good year for Memphis. They'll finish ranked in the top 25 unless they lose their bowl game. Tulane gets to go out play Army for the AAC championship next week, and everything will be good. Friday. Let's leave the Georgia Tech game for last,
Okay.
Yes.
because
Yeah,
there's a lot
I
to
like
talk
that.
about there. First, Boise beats Oregon State 34-18. Ashton Jeanty caps off his regular season on 37 carries for 226 yards and a touchdown.
Freaking
And
wild.
Boise puts themselves in position to enter the playoffs with a win against UNLV on Friday in the Mountain West Championship. I think Jeanty
Congrats.
still deserves the Heisman,
Woo!
He's
but he's
freaking
not going to get it
he's crazy.
because of the next. I mean, this has it in weird rankings. I'm just going off of when the games happen because of the next game. Colorado beats up Oklahoma State 52-0 behind a great day from Shedeur Sanders, 34-41, 438, and 5 touchdowns, and crucially, a really good day from Travis Hunter, which might have been the sinking blow for Ashton Jeanty's Heisman hopes, which is a damn shame because I think Jeanty deserves it more, which was sad. Um, Then 3:30, the Egg Bowl, as we said earlier, Mississippi State falls to Ole Miss 26-14. Um,
It's rough.
Mississippi State might legitimately be the best 2-10 football team like ever because they were showing heart
That
in this
sentence
game.
made no sense. I hope you know.
Elaborate, please.
Okay, so Mississippi State's 2-10, but
Terrible
they
record.
have had arguably one of the hardest schedules in the SEC, probably behind Florida and South Carolina. And
Thank you.
let me finish. They have played. Actually, I think they might have played more ranked teams in South Carolina. How many ranked teams have you guys played this year?
6.
Okay, they've played the same amount of ranked teams you guys have.
Well, going into the season, it was 7, and then Oklahoma,
Oh
became
well,
ass.
no, they've played 7 ranked teams because Arizona State's ranked now. They weren't when they played. I don't. I never know how to
Then that doesn't
quantify.
count.
I never know how to quantify that.
No, it
Okay, but
counts when you play
Mississippi
them.
State plays Arizona State close, and Arizona State's probably going to win the Big 12. Loses to Florida pretty badly. Plays pretty close against Texas before Texas pulls away at the end of the game. Plays Georgia relatively close, which is pretty easy nowadays. Plays A&M pretty close. Gets track meted by Arkansas. Gets track meted by Tennessee. Gets track meted by Missouri, and then plays Ole Miss close. So it's bad for Mississippi State because 2-10 sucks, but there's not. It's not all doom and gloom. They played pretty decent against ranked teams this year. Um, but
Or you could be 9-3 playing against 6 ranked
oh
teams.
my God, get over it. You're not making the playoffs.
I
Um,
know, but
I'm
I'm
going with
like,
Riley
you're
on this
like,
one.
they're the best 2-10 team. Like, okay, we also play a shit ton of ranked teams, except we won.
I'm
So
just
like,
saying. Well, you guys have more talent than Mississippi State does.
this is true.
And then what people are calling the game of the year, Georgia survives against Georgia Tech 44-42 in
Just
eight
barely.
eight overtimes.
It pissed me off
Um,
so much.
yeah, this was an unsuccessful hate watch.
I was there and I was getting pissed off. Like,
So like, were you just like conflicted the whole time, or were you like,
basically, so
I
I
will I
going
will
into
lie
it,
check you, by the way. Full disclosure,
I
if
am
you
not
say
going to
anything that doesn't
lie.
line up with the text you sent me, I will lie check you to oblivion.
Anyways, going into it, I knew that I was going to be conflicted because, like, I love tech. I've grown up with tech. Both my parents went there. Like, I know it's tech. I knew that I was going to be conflicted because I go to Georgia and like when you go to a school like this, you can't not cheer for them. Like it's just being around in this environment, you can't it's very difficult to not do. Also, you get worried about like people jumping you, especially at the games, so like you can't cheer for the opposite team. Um, so when the tech players like came onto the field, everyone boos like the opposing team when they come on. And everyone started booing tech, and I started booing, and I had to stop because felt so wrong to me. Like it was bad. So at the beginning, I was cheering for Georgia, I will say, because that would have made the student section more fun. It would have made my experience more fun, seeing as though I was freezing. I was freezing cold, let's just say that. Um,
For disclosure,
um,
it was like 45 degrees for that game. We'll talk about how cold the IU game was.
God,
I was
snow.
cold.
It was like 16 degrees in Bloomington with snow.
I was very cold. I had like 3 layers on, plus like a hat and gloves, and I was still very cold.
It was like
Um,
33 here today.
hey, it was 30 in the morning. I think it's
This
like
is the
45 now.
South, sir. We're not used to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's humid cold too, so
Yeah,
you
so
don't
it's
hear
like
it.
there's more. There's a
Yeah.
breeze.
By the second half, however, I was fully converted to tech because of how terrible Georgia was playing, and Carson Beck could not throw a football for the life of him.
He usually can't.
Um,
He actually
he
wasn't like awful. He just didn't do anything special
He
in
didn't
that
throw
game.
any interceptions,
Yeah.
guys. Give that
this
man
is
the
true.
Heisman.
No,
Best
definitely
country
not.
in the nation.
Best country in the nation.
And then when the overtime started happening, at that point, I just wanted anyone to win so I could leave and go take a warm shower. That was about it.
Fair.
So yeah.
This was disappointing.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, positives for Tech is they looked really good for
It really did.
They were very
45,
good.
45 minutes in change of this football game. And then the fourth quarter happened and they ran out of gas. And that was kind of the issue. Like the whole time we're seeing this, I'm thinking to myself, this is cool, but Georgia's going to steamroll them eventually. Because that's
Hmm.
been the Georgia textbook this year is to play kind of mid for a bit of the game and then track meet everyone else for the rest of it. They played pretty bad in the second half against Texas, got away with it, played about at the level of a JV football team against Alabama in the first half and was down by 23 in that game before coming back in the second, only to lose. And like played pretty badly against Ole Miss, and so it's like I figured Georgia was just going to pull that magic horseshoe that's been stuck up their ass for this entire year. They were going to pull it out, and it was going to be fine, but it didn't until like 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, where Georgia
Yeah.
Tech scored a touchdown to go up. I think at that point it would have been 27-13, and then
Oh, it was so funny when that touchdown happened because all of the Georgia fans just started streaming out of the stands to leave. Like, I mean, there was huge crowds
Fake
leaving at that
fans.
point.
that
Like,
they when Riley and I hate on Georgia fans, we actually have a reason. That's the most plastic fair weather bullshit I've ever seen. You know what happens? So obviously, I used to go to the SC championship like every year, and most times that would be Alabama versus Georgia. The amount of times Georgia fans would leave because their team was losing by like at least 2 scores, and it would have been like a 10-point game or something like that, because they're just like fair weather and like they have a bad fan base, and
It's so lame. You gotta
it's just
stick it
it's
out.
lame.
it is
Especially
very. I will say, however, this is not an excuse, but in their defense, it was freezing cold, and I do not blame them for leaving early to go into any warm building or car.
we
So
keep talking like it was Hoth in Athens when it was like 40
it felt
something
like it
degrees
to
outside.
me.
I think I
It felt
think
like
See, when everyone left the IU game in the third quarter, it was fine because we were winning by 50 and it was 2 degrees out. It was like 15 degrees outside and snowing. So that made sense. But, you know. Anyway, we're not here to talk about how awful Georgia fans are. We're here to talk about Georgia Tech's choke job in the last 5 minutes of this game. Where
listen, I will say what we say every time that Tech loses after they having a really good performance and look like they're going to win, they snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. And they did it again this time. I mean, they were looking great, and then they just let a few things slide, and that was all it took.
It was mostly the defensive play calling that did Tech in, and it's like their offense was pretty good the whole day, and like this Georgia defense, which has been much maligned for a lot of this year of being pretty inconsistent, but like Georgia's defense is, I think it's been the best part of their team this year, but it's not the Georgia defenses we've been used to seeing, like the world beaters when they won two straight national championships. Like those two defenses, the years Georgia won in 21 and 22, are probably two of the greatest college football defenses ever.
They were scary to play against, bro.
Like those are pretty, like you could make an argument those are two of the greatest defenses ever, and they came in back-to-back years. And this year the Georgia defense has not been that, but they've still been like top 10 in the country in basically everything. They could do piss all to stop anything Haynes King was doing for the first three quarters. Tech had, I think, one of the best playing like schemes I've ever seen in a game where they just stuck to it. Like their misdirection in the offense, a lot of switching before the play began, meant Georgia couldn't set their defense before the plays would begin. And I think that was probably their big thing during this was
Okay,
just
but
like
also Haynes King like fucking carried, bro.
he also
Dude
died.
scored three. I know. I felt so bad for that man. I was like, he is tired. Give
They
him a
just kept
break.
showing like replays of Haynes King just getting his
He
ass
led in
kicked.
rushing yards and passing yards. Like, dude, he scored five touchdowns, three of which he ran. Like, are
In
you good,
in
man?
his defense with the rushing yards, both of the running backs got injured, which is
Yeah,
another trend of
but it's
things that
also
happened
like,
in this game,
Jesus.
which is every
Oh my
single one of
God,
Georgia
yeah,
Tech's defenders got injured.
yeah.
Yeah, and this is another reason to hate Georgia fans. Everyone boos them when they get injured, like no matter what, and it's incredibly rude, and it's not good
In
at all.
Georgia, once again, not to play devil's advocate, but in Georgia's defense, like
Are
the
you a Georgia
epidemic,
fan?
no, but okay, but you should know this as someone who watched your team play Ole Miss. The amount of times people have faked injuries this year to
This
get
is true.
timeouts and stuff like that, like it's impossible to know what's real, especially when you're
Okay,
in the
but Ole
stadium and
Miss,
like
bro, Ole Miss, you can tell. Ole Miss,
with Ole
their
Miss, it's
players
easy to tell.
stop and they look around and then they fall to the ground. That's not a lie. That actually happened like three times we played Ole
No,
Miss. We were like, what the fuck was that?
but with everyone else, it's been a great area this year. So
That's
it's
true.
still not an excuse for Georgia fans, but like there's been IU games this year where the other teams like looks like it's an injury and like we've booed and then like it turns out it's fine. Like he's fine, he gets back in the next play. So I mean that's been a thing in football this year, in college football this
No,
year.
but they were dropping like flies.
But yeah, that's that, and then that's the point to that is like everyone was
Mhm.
getting it to the point where it's like I don't think this is like Georgia's Tech's meaning to do this.
No, it was like I was like, damn. It's like this
It's
is where
probably
they lose.
also the
But it's
reason.
also like that also discredits Georgia a bunch. It's like, yeah, you went into eight overtimes and you won by two. Also with Georgia Tech missing like half of their starters. So like what are you doing?
I think it's Georgia's a weird football team, and I've been saying this since probably before the Ole Miss game, where it's like any given week they can look they're bipolar. Like they are a bipolar ass football team where it's like any week you could see a different version of them. And so who knows who we'll see against Texas. Luckily for Georgia, this win means that they don't really actually have to worry too much about the Texas game. They can go in there, get their ass kicked, and it won't mean anything. Um, and so we'll see. We'll see what happens with Georgia. This was a if you're a Georgia fan, I'd be scared looking at this. This is a really bad performance where they got kind of lucky and bailed out by Georgia Tech's incompetent play calling during overtime, injuries bailing them out, and just kind of overall ickiness. A lot of flags went Georgia's way. Like Georgia got real lucky with a few of these, um, even including a potential targeting on that Haynes King fumble that led to the Georgia tying touchdown. Which that one I think you can make the argument either way. But yeah, rough one for Georgia, and they go into the SEC championship game next week versus Texas, and that'll be a very fun rematch of the game in Austin, where I figure Texas will probably be a little bit more up to the task than they were last time these two
I was about
teams
to say
played.
they'll probably pull through.
Um,
Mhm.
we'll pick the championship games after this week, but I would be surprised if this wasn't Texas. And then we moved on to Saturday, where college football decided to have 10 fucking fights. Now, hold up. Now, let me pull up this stat that I saw. And so, flag planting. We all love it. We all think it's funny. Um, this, for some reason, everyone kind of just decided that this was the week we're going to do it.
It's
Um,
rivalry week. You have
Yes.
to.
Yeah,
but
it
we
makes
no
total
one had
sense.
really ever done this before. That's the reason why I was a little like not like I was confused with the amount of fights that happened. So here's your list. Michigan versus Ohio State had a fight,
They had to pepper spray
which
the players for that one,
we'll talk about that one.
which is
That
wild
was due
to
to that
me.
was due to flag planting. There was a fight brawl after NC State UNC, also due to flag planting. A brawl during the Auburn Alabama game. Brawl during Arizona State, which was due to trident planting. Fight during USC Notre Dame, where a Notre Dame player just decided to sucker punch a USC player in the face. Missouri Arkansas had another fight. Virginia Tech Virginia had a pregame scuffle. Texas versus Texas A&M had a sideline scuffle, and then an A&M player body slammed a Texas player in the end zone. Florida and Florida State had a brawl over a flag planting incident at the end of the game. Coaches then refused to handshake each other afterwards. And then BYU and Houston had an end zone shoving match that basically ended up becoming a fight, making there being 10 major fights during rivalry week.
I'm surprised that
Um,
we didn't get into a fight, man.
That is true. But okay, I will also say for flag planting, if this is causing this many fights and this many people getting injured, I mean, leading to pepper spraying the players, I feel like this should be a new rule of like no more
nope,
flag planting.
I
It's
disagree heavily.
technically not.
Keep
I
flag
mean,
planting as a thing. It's
but it's
fucking
causing so many
hilarious.
injuries though, and so
It's
many
not
fights
They're
causing
and
any
fine.
It's not
I mean they're
injuries. They're fine.
okay, besides the pepper spray, they are fine, but
But
like
that's a
still.
special case. You can't
The
just look
pepper
at
spray is like the players are taking it too far. That's different than the flag. No one else
it's
got pepper sprayed,
flag painting is easily the most disrespectful thing you can do in college football,
but it's
but
hilarious.
it's hilarious, so it should
Did you
stay.
see Dabo Sweetie? I hate is a strong word. I dislike that man very much.
I feel like you can
And
use hate.
Hey, you can
no,
use hate.
hate is a strong word. Because
You
every
can
time
use
I use
hate.
the
You'll be
word hate, my
fine.
mom's like, Riley. Anyways, but I strongly dislike that man. And he decided to be very sour after our game because our fans fronched the field and we also planted a flag. But he decided to go online and like a press conference and say that it was so unsafe and that like what a hazard it was and that you would never see Clemson fans doing that if we were playing at Williams-Brice. I was like, I'm sorry. Yes, you would.
You
Yeah, you
met
would
Clemson fans?
100%. I know. I was like, have you met your own fan base, sir? They were so rude to us. We're the band, bro. We didn't do anything, and they were rude to us. Yeah, they would storm the field.
Yeah. Um, Fights turned into a big thing. Me personally, I love fights. I think brawls make rivalry week. If there's not at least like 5 brawls, I'm sad during rivalry week. So I had an incredible time watching all of this happen, all of this unfold. Um, I mean, it's hatred. It's why I watch rivalry week. It's because these are the two
It's
teams.
so
Rivalry
good.
week is against the team that you hate the most, and so yeah, of course there's going to be fights. Of course there's going to be flag planting. That's why we love rivalry week. That's why rivalry week is the best week of the year. Full stop. Every single time, is
It's
because
fantastic.
it's just the best. It's the best,
All
and
the tension, it's just great.
it's awesome. Speaking of there being no tension, however, Oregon steamrolls Washington 49-21. Dan Lanning finally gets the monkey off his back and is able to beat Washington for like the first time since he became head coach. Oregon beats Washington for the first time in like 5 years, and just looks really good going into the Big Ten championship game. Right now, I mean, Riley and I have been saying it since when did we start saying it was Oregon's championship to lose? It was like week like 9 or 10 or
It
something
was
like that.
it was soon-ish.
Um, but this is Oregon's championship to lose, in my opinion. They look to be the most complete team right now. Haven't really mightily struggled outside the Wisconsin game since that first stretch against Idaho and Boise.
Oh, that Wisconsin game. Oh, I was rooting for Wisconsin so badly. Oh, oh my.
And they're a strong team. Dylan Gabriel won quarter, like I think it was Offensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten. Um, and they're just a solid team. They have weapons for days. A great head coach, good defense. And I think right now this is probably Oregon's title to lose. But speaking of losing, we go into the game. Oh, Michigan beats, you heard me right, beats Ohio State 13-10 in Columbus. Talk about zero people outside of Michigan alums thinking that this was going to happen going into this week. Like,
Okay, so I have a question. You said
answer.
that this I asked you if this would make y'all look worse, and I want to know if it does.
I
Because
think
I know
this
y'all
makes.
beat because I know you guys beat Michigan, but then you also pointed out that it's like the worst Michigan team in like a while, and like I don't know if Ohio State lost to them, but Ohio State
I
beat
think
y'all.
this doesn't do much for IU. Like, I don't think this
Okay.
really changes anything. Like, I mean, like, we lost to this Ohio State team, but then we beat the team that beat Ohio State. So it's just kind of like it's a triangle. We beat
There's a
Michigan,
lot of
Michigan
games
beat
like
Ohio
that this
State, and
year.
Ohio State beat us. So I don't actually really think that changes much for IU. Yeah, and I don't really think that has much of an issue with, or much of like anything.
Cool, cool, cool.
If anything, it tilts towards not being as good for us. Like, but also I don't think it means much. But
You're in the playoffs. What can you do?
yeah, Indiana's more or less clinched playoffs after the win against Purdue. I, this was a puzzling game of football. Like, truly, truly puzzling. Because Michigan's issue this year, one has been their offense, but two has been their secondary since Will Johnson went down. And, like, IU was able to carve that up a bit. Basically, like, and they were coming into this game with a bunch of injuries. Will Johnson was out injured. Colston Loveland, who is basically their entire offense, was out injured. Donovan Edwards went out injured in the second quarter. And so you have this injury riddled Michigan team, including a secondary that was eventually patchwork. And what does Ohio State do? Decide to run the ball into one of the best defensive lines in the country. Like, they just were too stubborn in their game plan to run the ball, where it was like your wide receivers are Emeka Egbuka, Jeremiah Smith, like two of the best wide receivers in the country. Carnell Tate's really good. And so you have the best, easily the best wide receiving core in the country, and you just decide to not use them the entire game and try and justify Will Howard, try to justify your running game, and it just doesn't work. And so, of course, Michigan knows what to do, and then Ohio State gets into obvious passing situations, and then nothing happens. And Michigan, credit to them. They had a game plan and they stuck to it. Their offensive performance left a lot to be desired. Davis Warren kind of sucks at football. And by kind of, I just mean does suck at football. But it was an inspired performance by their running backs. Khalil Mullins had 32 carries for 116 yards and a touchdown. And Michigan somehow, some way pulls off what I would say is the upset of the season against Ohio State. And then their players got pepper sprayed, which was less fun. Um, as we said, there was a brawl at the end of the game, and two Michigan players got pepper sprayed. Thoughts?
Rivalry week, man.
It
Gotta
truly,
love it.
I didn't watch this game, but like just hearing about it feels like a fever dream almost. Like
I think
that's
that's a
kind of the
great way
only
to
way to
describe it.
describe it.
It's like
I
one
think
of the games that you're like, I'm not gonna watch because you know how it's gonna happen, or so you think you know, and then so you don't, and then you hear about it, and you're like, what the fuck did I miss?
I was watching this in multi-view, as you know, multi-view is the greatest invention since the telephone,
It's
and
true.
I was
Now you can watch
like,
multi-view on the telephone.
I know.
Dude, I text him. He's like, "Oh, what game are you watching?" He's just like, "All of them."
All of them.
Thanks, just all of them.
I
Okay,
was.
well,
Which, like, my focus during the noon slot was the Palmetto Bowl because of course it was. Damn. And but
So
the second
fair.
half, I didn't watch, like, I didn't have the audio on for the second half of the Palmetto Bowl. I had it on the game because I like it was like watching a train wreck in like It was like so okay. So there's been an issue with Instagram Reels where like I keep seeing car crash videos, and like I don't know how this ended up happening, but like the amount of times I've seen someone get hit by a car on Instagram is not very good. So anyway, this is like scrolling on Instagram and seeing the car crash videos, but you want to keep watching them because it's like the amount of destruction and chaos that's happening, and you're
Me?
like,
I'm gonna shut you off right here. Don't say anymore.
anyway, this is a thing. I'm
Lord.
not the only one who said stuff like this. But like I wanted to keep watching because like it was like the Georgia game. I just kept expecting Ohio State to pull away, but they never did. And so I ended up like not watching as much of the Palmetto Bowl as I would have wanted because I was just too focused in on what's going on in this Michigan game. And then they won. And the question to the peanut gallery is, do you fire Ryan Day if Ohio State doesn't win the national championship?
I mean,
No.
sure, yeah.
I
I'll
mean,
go behind it.
here's the thing with Ryan Day. He's 1-4 against Michigan. Not great. And he's like 2-6 or 2-7 against top five teams in the last like 5 years. Also not great. And it's kind of always been Ryan Day's always been on a hot seat, at least has been for the last few years, because of this kind of inability to beat Michigan. Like, let's be real. If this was any other head coach, they'd be fine. But knowing that Ohio State and Michigan have the rivalry they do, and the fact that Ryan Day has not been able to beat Michigan, brings into question his coaching. So, do you fire him if you lose in the say for instance Ohio State loses in the first round of the playoffs? What do you do?
I mean, you're still finishing like the regular season 10-2 and like top 10 in the country. And so like end season statistics, like it looks pretty good. But that is a fair point. If it's just like you still can't beat your rivalry game each year, then I mean that's painful.
I mean,
I
even
mean,
this year, like really, you're looking at it's Michigan, guys. Come on, you could do
it's
better.
it's the worst Michigan team since Brady Hoke was their head coach, and like I think it's kind of weird because it's like Michigan and Ohio State base their head coaches off of whether or not they can beat the other team, and so like we'll see. I don't think they fire him. Um, Also, I mean, let's obviously we love spewing hot takes on this podcast. However, Jim Harbaugh had a very similar career path when he first went to Michigan, and then he beat them 3 times in a row. So it's not the end of the world for Ryan Day, but this is probably going to be the worst Michigan's going to be for a bit. They're getting Bryce Underwood next year, who's supposedly supposed to be the best quarterback in the nation. They'll reload on defense. They have one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. They fired their offensive coordinator, which I think was they very much needed to do. Um, they'll return Mullins, I think, who's one of the best running backs in the country. So, and next year it's in Ann Arbor. So
That's rough.
it's rough, buddy. Um, and
Hey!
so this is bad. This basically knocks, and I don't know how Ohio State's still hosting a home playoff game. Like, maybe just the playoff rankings are stupid.
We
Anyway,
said that before.
Many a time.
many a time. Next, Texas beats Texas A&M 17-7. What? Like, come on, guys. We anticipated this game as like game of the year, like the reinvigorating of this rivalry. Like one of the like my dad and I were like, this is the best game of the week. Like the most toxic rivalry in college football history.
I
This
was
game
gonna be so
sucked.
excited for this game. Yeah, it
This
was
game was
really
dog
boring.
shit. Nothing happened. Like Texas A&M doesn't even score an offensive touchdown. Gets faltered. Gets end up being 8-4, which is death, taxes, God creating the universe, and Texas A&M going 8-4. That's the constants you have in the world, and like it's just disappointing for Texas A&M. You finally get the opportunity to like play spoiler, put yourself into the playoffs. They just needed to win. They needed to beat They needed to beat Texas, beat UGA, which they could have beat UGA, and they had everything going for them against Texas. And they shit the bed harder than I've seen A&M shit the. They shit the bed about as hard as they did it last week against Auburn when they pissed away their entire season. This is just it's the A&M cycle. It happens every year. But this year, it just felt like it was a little bit more painful than usual because A&M was forecasted to maybe make the playoffs. You finally get your rivalry game against, you get the big brother against Texas. You finally get the chance to beat them. And what do? Shit the bed. So anyway, A&M's gonna A&M. They're never gonna be not little bro, and this game
I
sucked.
keep this is slightly unrelated, but I keep getting the Aggies yell leader people on my Instagram.
Same.
I don't understand why, but
It's a
I guess
cult.
I understand it's tradition, but it's like they're so cringy. Like
A&M
I'm
is a
sorry,
cult.
but they're so like they just sitting there and they go like, what are you doing? Stop.
You know what I did? I
Up and
did
at
that, but it was a lot during the IU Purdue game when we actually out physicaled the other team, not getting
it
absolutely
makes no
obliterated
sense.
by a Texas team. Which, by the way, Texas probably has one of the most underrated defenses in the country. Want to hear a fun stat? This year, I don't know if this is entirely true. I might have misread the stat. This year, Texas has allowed 4 passing touchdowns and has 18 interceptions.
Jesus.
So this is a great Texas defense, but yeah, A&M. That's one you don't really recover from. Connor Wegman entered the transfer portal. He got replaced earlier in the year. Um, and yeah, just a disappointing year for A&M, where they slide, and I think they lose 3 of their final 4. Like lost South Carolina, lost to lost to Auburn, lost to Texas, and it's a season gone waste for A&M, which is something we're getting very used to saying. Next, Maryland loses to Penn State 44-7. Riley, do you want to do the honors?
I can't. I physically can't.
Riley, Aaron, do you want to do
Aaron
the
should.
honors?
Yeah, I want to do that one. This is the first time. Wait, ready?
Yeah,
Who cares? There we go.
Good job.
that was lovely.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Um, next, pretty sure on my list as my computer decides it wants to commit seppuku is Notre Dame beating USC 49-35. Fun fact, pretty sure USC's quarterback had more passing yards to Notre
Yes.
Dame than he did to his own team.
Oh, that's so
He
depressing.
threw 3 touchdowns though.
Two of the including back-breaking 99 and 100-yard pick sixes.
Damn.
Don't let's not shape this wrong. USC had chances to win this football game. Like this
It's
was
so
not
sad.
completely out of their control. But then everything went to shit. As it usually does for USC this year. Did they? Obviously, my computer's still dying. Did they end up making a bowl game? Are they 6? They have 6 wins.
USC, yeah.
We're back. 6-6. Do you think they fire Lincoln Riley?
Hold on. Let me see how the rest of their season's going.
Do you think they fire Lincoln Riley, Aaron?
Oh, I forgot they
I have no,
beat
I'm not
LSU.
gonna lie, I did not follow them whatsoever throughout this entire season. So
Mm.
not the person to be judging this one.
Well, they play 3 ranked teams and they like won for one, but they lost the other 2, so that's kind of lame. Um, but they're not. I mean, besides this one, they're not like terrible. Yes, this is kind of sad as I'm looking at it.
I mean, they've
This
gotten
is a
consistently
great
worse
schedule.
every single year
They
since.
have 3 losses in a row to Minnesota, Penn State, Maryland.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's
Pretty
pretty
sad.
sad. They just probably go and
I mean,
fire
Penn
him.
State's number 4, but like the rest of it is bad.
Yeah. Notre Dame, they look fine. I have nothing to say about them. Um, it's kind of weird how like the playoff committee has just decided they want to completely forget the fact that they lost to NIU at the beginning of this season. But I think the playoff committee conveniently forgets things when they want to conveniently forget things. And so we'll see what happens. Yeah, next game though, more or less eliminating Miami from the playoffs. They lose to Syracuse 42-38,
Why are they
giving
still above
Clemson
us?
giving Clemson the in to the ACC championship game.
This is
So stupid.
ridiculous.
Mm-mm.
Miami was winning this game 21-0 at one
How
point.
do you choke that hard?
What a
You choked
damn shame.
everything. You choked the ACC championship, and you choked winning against Syracuse, bro. What the? Anyways,
I mean,
it's fine.
hey man, Kyle McCord balled out on the same day Ohio State lost to Michigan. Kyle McCord balls out, throws for 4 touchdowns. Did you see what Kyle McCord said after the game?
I did not.
So they're asking him. It's like obviously this has to be pretty good for you, upsetting the number 6 team in the country the same day that the team that you used to play for and the team that basically hated him loses to the number one rival in without you. And he said simply just went to the mic and said everything happens for a reason, or something around the lines of like we came full circle, or
Nice.
everything comes full circle. So talk your shit, Kyle McCord. Syracuse is a good year for them. Finishing 9-3. Um, and it's a bad year for Miami because they're probably not going to make the playoffs.
Nope. And that's on them.
Oh,
Yeah, when you see the losses to Georgia Tech and Syracuse, it's kind of hard to warrant putting them in, given that they don't really think they actually have a ranked win this year, or something along the lines of like they don't have a really hard schedule. Um,
they don't play a single ranked team all season.
yep, they did not beat a single ranked team the whole season. Lost
They
two
didn't
of their
play
last
one
three.
period.
Actually, they should not have been in the playoff
No, Louisville was ranked
contention
when they played them.
at all.
This doesn't say that.
Oh, they were. They weren't.
I don't think so.
Oh,
Usually it does. It tells you where they were, but it doesn't.
yeah.
There were.
Huh.
I think they were ranked after they played them.
Mm. Well,
No, because they lost. So I'd be
tough
like,
shit,
I don't know.
Miami, but I don't give a fuck. Then Tennessee beats Vanderbilt. Who cares?
I thought this game
Um,
was gonna be better.
I also thought this game was going to
It
be
should
better.
have been.
SMU beats Cal 38-6. Riley, do you want to try?
I can't.
You want to give us a weak one?
Who cares?
Thanks.
Oh, that was so sad.
I'm sick, bro.
Then Arizona State beats Arizona 49-7 before planting a trident in midfield, causing another brawl. I think Arizona
Just
State's probably going to end up winning the Big 12, and good on them. They were projected last in that conference to start this year, and then they ended up winning. And then they might end up winning it. They got a date against Iowa State in the Big 12 championship game. So we'll see what happens there. Um, Iowa State beats Kansas State in probably the one of the best named rivalry week games of the year. Do either of you know what this rivalry is called?
I feel like this is one that you've told me. Is that true?
I forget a lot of the
That was
things I say.
helpful, Nate.
No, I do
It's
not.
No.
it's called Farmageddon.
They need some better names out here.
I don't know, man. Farmageddon's really good.
That's pretty epic. Not
It's
gonna
Iowa
lie.
State's rivalry games names are literally Farmageddon and El Asico.
The
Okay,
So
Psychos.
Farmageddon's better at least.
I don't know. El
Farmageddon
Asico's
is
really
really
funny.
funny if they're like the Psychos. Isn't that like what lays waste to many land and farms in the Midwest every year? That's so sad. Iowa State is the Farmageddon. Anyways, I'm
I never
tired,
thought about it.
guys.
That's really deep. And when you think about it,
These have been tired and sick thoughts with Riley.
when you think about it, maybe the real farm was the friends we made along the way.
When you
Mhm.
think about it, do you think that Glenn Powell will show up and like try to fight them?
They should. He should.
Because he's the Twister. He's a tornado wrangler.
I never actually saw that movie.
I
Oh,
didn't
To
it's
go
either.
see it.
fantastic. It was
It's
fantastic.
the type of movie that I need to watch
Wait,
every
hold
time it
on.
played.
Yeah, this sticker, not my first tornado. It's a fantastic movie.
I mean, Glenn Powell has a really cool dog,
This is true.
and he's
I
pretty
mean,
good
it's also
looking.
Glenn
Anyways,
Powell. Like, come on.
She's got
I
that.
love you.
Oh, for anybody? I'm pretty sure everyone's aware.
We've established that Erin is my girlfriend.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We've said this.
yeah.
Okay,
No,
that's what
we've
I
Said
thought.
we've
guest is
established
my
that. I
we
remember
said
I
guest
remember
is
that
my
episode
girlfriend.
when that
Okay,
came
cool,
out
cool,
as
cool.
information.
Yeah,
Turns
yeah.
out guest
Because
is
we
me.
asked permission.
Yeah, I don't know why you guys asked permission.
So
I was
everyone who
totally
thought
fine
I
with it
couldn't
from the
get a
beginning.
girlfriend, eat shit.
What did you say?
Said to everyone who thought I couldn't get a girlfriend, eat shit and die.
Who said that you couldn't get a girlfriend?
I don't know the haters. I don't know their names. So I blocked them all out.
Yeah.
I got my
You're
hater.
just moving on.
I
What
got
you
my
do?
hater shades on.
I don't know what to say.
Spend the
There's
rest
no
of the
words.
podcast like
We
this.
should just move on.
Anyways, what's the next
I want to
game
see.
here?
I want to see how we
The
get fucking.
Mormons won.
Good job, Mormons. I have
Good
nothing
job.
else.
I
There
don't
was a
know. I
fight.
didn't watch this.
There was a fight in this game.
There's a fight in all of them, bro.
Yeah,
I know that
every
doesn't like
single one.
change anything, but
Except ours. I would like to know. No fights here.
I know,
None.
and shockingly none for us either.
There was at one point I thought a fight was gonna break out. Like it looked like it, but no, didn't.
I mean, there's some shoves like there
Okay,
is
wait,
in
hold
any
on. We can't
high
just
tension
let
game.
Nate get away with the his outfit right now.
Oh, he's done this before.
I knew this, but
it's
come
not the
on.
first time I've worn this helmet.
Yeah, that's true. It's the first time for the shades, but
I'm gonna
everything
get
else has made it
CTE.
appear. Okay.
Um, Arkansas loses to Missouri. It snowed.
Oh,
UNLV beats
yay.
Nevada, setting up a match with Boise State, and Illinois beats Northwestern. Whew, let's talk about our games.
You want to
You
do?
want to go Iron Bowl, Palmetto Bowl,
We'll
Old
sandwich
Oaken
it.
Bucket? I'll start
Sure.
with the Iron
What?
Bowl because
I'm
it's the game.
sorry. Go back. What is
Yeah,
it
our
called?
rivalry with Purdue is called the Old Oaken Bucket.
Okay,
We get a
that's
bucket to win it.
interesting.
Farmageddon is better than that, I will
Hey
say.
man, the Old Oaken bucket. It's this small ass bucket too. This thing's like this big, and it has like a chain that has I and P on it. It's this
We got a
massive chain that
giant
just says
ass
like IP,
tree.
IP, IP, IP,
Oh my
like
God, I've been
over
studying
again
too
because
much calc for the last. IP is like a
inflection
thing
point.
for inflection point. Yeah,
You
Yeah, we learned
that's
that
nerd.
in
immediately
calc.
what I thought of. God.
Would have been funnier
Oh,
if it was I see you. Okay. Anyway, Iron Bowl, eat shit, Barners. That's what you get for being in the worst part of Alabama and being a dog shit campus. Just kidding. Auburn's campus is annoyingly pretty, but
mm.
um, their football team sucks. So, big dubs, big, massive, humongous dubs. Um, did Peyton Thorne throw for more passing yards than Jalen Milrow? Yes. Do I give a fuck? No. We
I feel
won
like
the
you
Iron
should.
Bowl. Oh yeah, we played not great in this game. Four turnovers, four turnovers, all of them from Milrow. One interception and three fumbles, which is weird because Milrow hasn't fumbled a lot this year. And man, we are really letting the explicits fly on this episode.
Yeah, I
Oh
feel
yeah.
like this is a lot more than the
Rivalry
usual.
week brings out the worst in both Riley and I.
This is a brawl. We're brawling with
We're
words right
brawling
now.
with our words.
So it's 11 brawls right now instead of 10. That's
Yes.
the total count.
Riley and Nate
This one
versus
is
the
like an
English
hour
language.
long brawl. What did I
Mm.
do?
This is Riley and Nate versus the English language. Poor my
Riley and
dad.
Nate versus censorship.
Poor my dad who has to teach the English language. Well, at least used to teach the English language. Now he
My mom
teaches.
teaches, well, she teaches reading. She teaches like 4-year-olds right
I
now,
don't know
but
how
she
to
taught
read.
reading.
That counts as the
Oh,
English language, you know.
she teaches, I mean, she teaches those 4-year-olds how to write.
I like how
That
no one heard
counts.
what I just said.
That counts.
That you don't know
What?
how to read?
Oh, well, someone heard.
We heard it. We just can't address you when you're dressed like that.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. We just can't. No.
All I'm saying is, I see a new spam profile picture on Instagram loading right now.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Do we get
Anyway,
to be included?
Yeah, is
no,
it
no.
like all three of us? Come
Rude.
on.
You get cropped out.
Yeah.
That's just mean.
Um,
Yeah. Mm-mm. You do that to your own girlfriend?
Riley got cropped out of the first profile picture I have on Spam.
Yeah, but I'm not dating you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'd hope not.
What does that even mean? That's not a clap back. That's
That's
just a
between the two of
fact.
you. Have fun. I'm out.
She's Aaron's
Um,
like, I talked about Georgia Tech. I'm done.
Peace.
anyway, I thought this was Gurmy Bernard's best game as an Alabama player. Honestly, I thought the defense played great. Once again, Kane Womack's done a pretty good job this year. They did a good job of forcing Auburn when Auburn got into the red zone to they did a good job of bending but not breaking. Um, does this team deserve to make the playoffs? I don't know. Honestly, you know what? I'm turning heel. Yeah, they deserve to make the playoffs because they're Alabama, and we get brand
That's
bias.
why you're in the playoffs right now.
Hell yeah,
Mhm.
baby. I
Because
don't know,
they like
man.
Alabama, they like
Maybe win
Georgia, and
national
Georgia and
championships,
Alabama will
Riley.
always be in the playoffs because they don't care about anyone else.
Maybe win national championships, and then we'll talk.
You yourself
Oh,
has literally said that this is a building year. Like this year, we've clapped back more than we ever had. So yeah, maybe we will.
No, you won't. You're South Carolina.
Okay, sure.
I
Except our
I believe
quarterback
in you
did
guys, Riley.
outthrow and
I believe.
outrun your
I don't know, man.
outrun your
The
quarterback. But
shades
whatever.
the shades have gave me confidence.
They
Yeah, we
Misplaced
can
should.
tell.
confidence because this Alabama team, sorry,
It's like a
this
mask.
Alabama
He's
team is
hiding.
100% going to lose if they make the playoffs. But they're going to win the national championship, so it's fine.
What a
Which
nice little
I'm sure that'll
switch
be
there.
great for audio listeners. Um, understanding
No
why
one understood. Yeah,
for audio
if
Mhm.
you
listeners, I
if
took
you
the shades off, said that Bama was probably going to lose, put them back on, said we're going to win the championship.
so the shades are the cockiness.
The shades make me an asshole.
The shades make you unrealistic. Is what I'm
Yeah.
So I feel
seeing.
like the shades should like disappear then.
The shades are devil's advocate.
Exactly.
He's not taking them off.
No,
I'm
she's
not
not.
taking
There's
them
no way.
off.
um,
That's all I have to say about the Iron Bowl. I hate
is it my
Alabama.
turn now?
It's your
Hmm.
turn.
Okay, this isn't gonna be as I'm about to die right now, so I'm just gonna make this as hard as far. Whoa.
As
Anyways,
what?
I don't know, as quick as I can. Okay, here we go. So I never thought we were gonna lose this game. Like that's not a lie. I like walked into that stadium and I was like, we're winning. Um, and so like I felt good the whole time. It was a little stressful, but honestly, like Clemson fans suck. I'm not allowed to be
Hmm.
mean to them when I'm in uniform because I have an image apparently, but they were mean to us.
That
And
image disappears when we get on this podcast. So talk your
yeah,
shit.
no, it doesn't. Um, I have a public Instagram. Anyways,
So
um,
do I. Well,
so
actually, no. I have a
like
private Instagram.
yeah, mine's public, there's other reels. Anyways, so yeah, I felt really good about this game. Honestly, I like my voice was it sounds like this now because I'm sick, but like literally Saturday after this game, I could only whisper. Um, so, but yeah, I felt fantastic about this game. Lenore Sellers is a god. Clemson can fuck off. Like, what even is a tiger? Stay in your corner. We run this state.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Do you need to go back to preschool over here? Go to your
Tiger
mom's class? I think that's what we're
definition.
looking
So
at here.
this is literally all stuff that I posted like on my story after we won. It's like the funniest meme I've ever seen in my life. Literally like the stay in your corner. And it's just like a whole state of South Carolina full of like garnet. And then in the
Tiger,
one
a very
corner,
large solitary cat with a yellow-brown coat striped with black, native to the forests of Asia, but becoming increasingly rare. Used to refer to someone fierce, determined, or ambitious. A dynamic
not
economy,
Clemson.
a
Not
It's
dynamic
an
Clemson.
economy of one of smaller Eastern Asia countries, including that of Singapore, Taiwan, or South Korea. Noun, tiger economy. Plural noun, tiger economies.
huh.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
So yeah, not Clemson then. I'm trying to find this meme. It's literally just all the people we've signed. So that's not what I wanted. But yeah, here we go. Stay in your corner, Clemson. Stay all the way over here with your L. In this, you can't even see it, but it's a
Yeah, you
tiny
can't. It's just
corner of
white.
orange with an L because you freaking lost. So
Oh, I saw
suck,
you post that on your feed.
suck my cock, my gamecock.
This podcast has gone off the rails.
I think
Remember
we
when I
need to have
said I
like
had
a
an
counter.
image?
We need like a counter of all the curse words. I feel
Swear
like,
jar, swear
yeah, I
jar.
swear, there
That's
we
our
go.
mascot,
Can our
though. It's
swear
our
jar go to
mascot.
Alabama's NIL fund?
No,
No,
no, no. It should go to me because I haven't sworn yet here.
Fuck
you
Just
off.
have.
saying.
You've been on once. You
Okay,
haven't. I thought.
true, but
Did you
as
not say
in,
something about Georgia?
Do you wanna
no,
cuss, Aaron?
Just
no,
we'll
I
give
don't
you
want to
one.
cuss
You wanna
because I
say a
quite like
I'll
my
Christian
give you a
image.
dollar.
you wanna say a poopy word?
I need more than
I'll
$1.
I'll
What?
give you $1.
No.
We'll give you $2. A combined $2.
Is that like all the college students have, bank account sort of situation?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes.
I spent all my money go on IU related paraphernalia, so
Damn.
hey man, that
The
football
band
jersey
just
I have
gives
is
me
not
stuff,
cheap.
bro. I got this backpack from the band. It says Macy's 2024.
So you're just a
That's pretty
massive
cool.
shill for a department store.
I mean, Macy's
Hey,
Parade.
that's a good
Okay,
backpack though.
that's
Yes,
good.
it is.
I
There's a
thought you just
shoe
said. I thought it
compartment.
just said Macy's on it, and you were
No,
just walking
I got a
around with a big
tracksuit.
backpack.
A
No,
tracksuit?
yeah, tracksuit. A
Damn.
matching gray tracksuit, sponsored by Under Armour. Anyways, I like getting
Well,
my
actually,
free stuff.
What's your major? Anyway,
Marketing.
um, yeah, right. We have the same major.
We do.
We kind of do. We
Yeah,
it's
both have
mine's
sports
technically
marketing.
I have a minor in sport and entertainment management. But yeah,
Yeah, loser
good
doing
stuff.
ecology over there.
I quite like. I got free breakfast from the ecology department today. It was wonderful, fresh fruit. The dining halls here don't really have fresh fruit, by the way. So having fresh fruit was like a big thing. Like all of the undergraduates like
Look,
attacked
it's
that
base.
thing.
Anyway,
That's fair.
IU beats Purdue 66. Wait, no, you weren't even done with your game, Riley.
Yes, I was. I said stay in your corner, fuck off, suck my cock.
All right, yes, forgot about
That
that.
was the gist.
Uh, IU beats Purdue 66 nothing in the snow. Fun stat about this game. Purdue had 67 yards and IU had
Really?
66 points.
Okay,
This is
I feel
probably
like at some point during this game, the mercy rule needed to be applied. Because, come on, really?
run it up. As I said many times while watching the game, the beatings will continue until morale improves. And morale improved. Morale improved heavily when we won
Okay, there we go.
66.
Sorry. As soon as you started saying that, my internet connection just disappeared.
And your
So,
frail Georgia minds don't know how to compare to the strong Indiana.
Purdue is
you,
1-11, sir.
Hey,
yeah,
we don't talk
also,
about that.
you
Hey, we
said
don't talk about that. We don't talk about how bad Purdue
you,
is.
you said that if Indiana
No,
played
no, no, no,
Georgia,
no, no,
Georgia
no,
was
no.
gonna beat their asses.
Yeah.
So,
No. The glasses, they give me confidence.
so
Anyway,
take the glasses off so you can see reality.
no. Indiana's winning the national championship. Um, Coach Signetti won Big Ten Coach of the Year yesterday. You know, deserved. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a team get this systematically destroyed in my entire life. Like, I know Purdue was bad, but having 67 total yards to our 66 points is a pretty bad stat line.
That's so
They
sad.
really, we did whatever we. And you know what the funny part about it was? It could have been more. It could have been a lot more. We missed a field goal. It could have
But
been
it's
69
snowing.
nothing. It could have been 76 nothing. We had so many opportunities to. We had 3 opportunities where we didn't score a touchdown, and it was 2 punts and a missed field goal. So if those go different ways, we would have won 83 to nothing, which honestly that felt like more like an even score than what Purdue had. They fired
Oh
their
my
head
God,
coach.
get off of your high horse right now. They won one game through the entire season. Uh-uh.
Not in their conference.
Anyway, they
Nope, I
fired their head
think
coach.
there
Um, no, I wasn't. I wasn't frozen. I was just,
we go.
He was just
uh,
floating.
I was floating. This was awesome. It was snowing. It was so much fun. It's been snowing all over campus for the last like few days. See, the weather for this game was like 17 degrees and snowy. It hasn't been since I got back from break above 32. So, actually, wait, no, that's not true. It's 43 today. It's the hottest it's going to be for the rest of the year, I think. Um,
Liar.
how am I a
I think
liar?
I know it's 50 here.
How much is here? Wait,
Have I
wait.
mentioned that I don't feel good?
Oh, it's 50 here
Is
too.
that your cue for us to end this episode, Riley?
No, it's fine. I was just like, that's why I keep like,
Oh, I could not hear that.
good.
I'm
That's good
congested
then.
too. I'm congested too because I'm still battling with a congestion from my flight getting delayed for like 3 hours when I was in Indianapolis going to Atlanta. Um,
Times.
yeah, thanks Indianapolis International Airport. That was really awesome of you to not understand. Anyway, let's pick the games next week. Conference championship week. A lot of deciding factors coming on for college football. I'm just gonna name the games. You give me a winner. UNLV versus Boise State for the Mountain West. I'm gonna go with
Boise.
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 Boise State.
Boise.
For the AAC, it's Tulane versus Army. This could go either way, but I'm gonna say Army because I think the triple option is like impossible to defend against.
I'm saying Tulane to be unique.
I'm gonna say Army because I think that's funny.
Iowa State versus Arizona State for the Big 12 championship game. Underrated game of the week, but I do think
Iowa.
it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be Arizona State who wins the Big 12
Iowa.
and punches their tickets to the playoffs. It's Iowa State, not Iowa.
We'll just have to see, guys.
Hmm.
Um, Georgia versus Texas in Atlanta for the SEC championship game. I think Texas gets their get back.
I think so too.
They
Oh,
have.
I was so close to getting tickets to it too. Oh, made me
Um,
upset.
yeah, I think Texas
It's
gets their
okay.
get back here. Wins. Maybe not convincingly, but does a job that they need to do. For the Big Ten, it's Penn State versus Oregon in Indianapolis. This game doesn't matter for either of these teams, but
Oregon's winning
I'm
though.
gonna say, huh?
Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon.
You gotta consider it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Clemson at SMU, not at SMU. Clemson SMU for the ACC championship in Charlotte.
SMU better fucking win.
I think it's gonna be SMU, but
I hope it's SMU.
we'll see.
Me too.
So I'm
It
pulling up
better
the
be.
red zone gauge. Um,
Number one is this.
number
this
one
week.
is this week. Do we?
Hmm.
Yes.
How do we do? What do we?
What is number one right now? What's the rating?
Right now, number one rating is at 10 out of 10 for week 2.
Um,
So, so we move
11
week
out of
2.
10.
We move
Yeah.
week 2 to a 9.75 out of 10.
or we just add another number.
Yeah, it was
This
so
is an
amazing
11.
that you just somehow add another number because that's totally math.
Nah, 10 out of 10. Week 4 rivalry week takes the mantle.
That's fair.
And what a week. Rivalry week was awesome. It was incredible. It was magical. It was fight filled. And yeah, this was our last regular season episode of the year. We only really have like 2 episodes left. We'll get next week, and then we'll get the season review after the championship game.
We get next week. Are we not doing bowls?
Yeah, we'll do a season review. That'll be like
Okay,
bowl
cool.
season and the national championship,
Cool,
and then
cool, cool.
maybe we'll actually decide we want to do other things. Um,
Hey, basketball.
this
We've talked about
was
doing basketball and then never
Oh,
done
I
it.
know. I know.
this was an incredible regular season. It was one of the best college football seasons I've seen in a long time. that could be determined by who wins this year. If it ends up being like Ohio State, that'll probably suck. But or like UGA, or
Yeah, but the
Tennessee.
campus is
If
going to be
UGA wins,
fun.
no, your
Yeah, if
campus is
UGA
gonna be
wins,
fun.
Yeah, it's exactly. My
if
campus is going to be
if
fun.
UGA wins, I'm crying
So,
myself to sleep. Um.
Oh,
Anyway,
cute.
I ain't got anything else.
Me neither. Stay
wait, I
healthy,
do.
everybody.
Okay, wait. Through my time listening, there's
Okay.
two arguments that have come up that is not anything related to football. One
Okay.
is the best pie,
Oh,
right? Best pie is pumpkin, thank you very much, with whipped cream on top. That is my take.
it's a hot take.
I
Yeah,
know it's a
don't.
hot take, but I love my pumpkin pie.
Yeah, because it's wrong.
Two, it's not wrong. Two, the Ryan Reynolds Hugh Jackman fight that happened. Also hot take apparently from the two of you, Ryan Reynolds.
Nah, it's huge Ackman.
No, it's Hugh Jackman all the way. What in the world?
I
No.
just Ryan Reynolds. That's my only Ryan Reynolds.
Look at Hugh Jackman, bro. Just look at him. Like, look up a picture, and your life has
What a
changed
fine piece of
forever.
man.
Mm-mm,
Also, the thing
mm-mm.
about pie
I
is I
felt like
don't.
I had to contribute to those two arguments.
That's
So,
fair.
That is fair.
You've listened to them the longest. Um, I don't dislike pumpkin pie. My favorite pie though is sweet potato.
mm. Oh
You're
no.
both wrong. It's cherry.
I mean, cherry's up
What?
there, don't get me wrong.
Anyway,
I don't think cherry pie's ever been a staple for me.
you know
You
what
gotta have some
should be a
pumpkin, you
staple
gotta
for
have some
you?
apple. What do you have?
Apple's not a staple in my family.
Really?
Whack ass
Mm-mm.
family.
For me, it's pumpkin and cherry. That's what we have at Thanksgiving. Actually, we have two pumpkin pies at Thanksgiving and Christmas. So
That's
that's
interesting.
it.
We only do
Just
pumpkin
kidding. You
and
don't have a whack ass family.
we do
Huh?
I said,
pumpkin.
just kidding. You don't have a whack ass family.
Yeah, exactly. This is publicly recorded. Anyone can listen to this.
No, I like your family
I
a lot.
said suck my
Big
cock.
fan.
We can say anything goes.
Solid 10 out of 10 family.
Hmm.
Anyway, um, yeah, I ain't got anything else.
Neither do I.
Well, that was an episode. That was
It's a
one of the
good
episodes of all
episode.
time.
Is it what?
That was one of the episodes we've ever recorded.
It sure
Just kidding.
was.
It was a banger. Go like, follow, subscribe to the Red Zone on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify. Go do it. We're going to start uploading TikToks. Go like our Instagram Reels. We need to expand the business so we can become the kings of college football and eventually get featured on Pat McAfee's show. Now,
Real.
go like,
I want to be
follow
a guest picker.
at the Red Zone Podcast on all social medias. Yeah. Well, I'm Nate Cohen,
I'm Riley Davis.
I'm Aaron Craig.
and that was the Red Zone Podcast.